Hi guys, welcome to Reza Riffs. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all that jazz. Again, Alan Lee will not be here. He is missing a couple episodes due to a personal matter. But I'm still here, and it's my show, so rock and roll. We have a great show. We got this one through good buddy of mine, Norm MacDonald, I should say, is the co-producer of today's episode. He got this guest for me, and the great Bob Saget. You guys have seen him from Full House, Fuller House, Entourage, America's Home Video. He was the director of Dirty Work, and he wrote a book called Dirty Daddy. And he also has a Comedy Central roast. Very, very funny. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. And I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys did like it, subscribe, rate, and review. Share some love, honest feedback. If you didn't like it, tell us why. We're in this all together. We're quarantined, and we're rocking and rolling. I do have one stand-up date booked at the Ha Ha Comedy Club in North Hollywood on Friday, May 14th, 2021 at 8 p.m. So if you're free, come see me. It'll be fun. It'll be my fourth show all year. So I'm really looking forward to that and all that jazz. All right. We're going to jump right into an interview with Bob Saget. Enjoy, guys.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey,
Bob, how are you?
here we go. All right.
Excellent.
Oh, hold on.
Uh-huh.
It'd be good for me to plug in my audio.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to finally meet over Zoom.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for saying yes.
I couldn't say no. Norm says this is a friend of mine, and hey, it's a friend of mine, Saget. And also what a remarkable guy you are. And so I took me a second to check it out. And I went, thank you for having me on.
Oh, no worries. I've been trying to get you on for like 4 years. So
wow, you should have reached out. I would have been here.
I tried Mr. O'Brien.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't get it. It's possible.
Yeah. So,
well,
but like, I don't
feel
and to be honest, I didn't like ask Norm to ask you. It just came up in conversation. I don't feel comfortable asking friends for favors like that.
But don't worry about it. No, I was happy to do it. And Norm is, Norm's the real deal,
Yeah, I love Norm. At first I thought he was pulling my leg when he did it.
No, he was like, hey, Saget. And, I read the text and I hear his voice. I don't know how that happens.
Same here. How is Irvine Improv opening week for comedy?
It's been, I had an interesting week last week. I did 5 shows and all of them were consequential and wonderful. I opened up in Atlantic City, the Hard Rock, their arena, at Tess Arena, with my buddy Mike Young.
I love Mike. Yeah,
Mike is great, and he was over last night. It's his birthday, so we celebrated the fact that he looks 40 and he's older than 50. But I'm not supposed to share his age. Anyway,
do people still not know who he is?
People know who the F is Mike Young now. They're starting to, all things comedy has been, they put out his little concert thing that he did, and he's doing really well. He's got a movie he's about to direct. And
are you going to be in this one? Because you were in a stand-up guy.
Yeah, I was. I'm not going to be in this one. He's got some. I think he's got some casting to do yet, but he's really good. And the more you direct, obviously, the better you get at it. And he's just really good. But we did this 7,000 seat place that only by law was 1,000 people or under that, maybe 800. I don't know. But we did 2 shows where we would normally do one.
Right.
And we did 2 shows because of safety. That was just, a week and a half ago on a Saturday night. And it was the first event that they had in Atlantic City with headliner comedy or performing. And it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to be back. And then on 420, I did a pot show with a whole bunch of comedians on the rooftop of a hotel in San Francisco. And it was also streaming if people bought tickets, put on by Burner, who is the guy that owns Cookies, which is like the biggest pot distributor in the free world. And nice. I'm not a partaker because I did enough in the early 80s. So I'm good. I'm good.
And you moved on to cocaine anyway, right?
Well, just in the movie. But the early 80s were in LA. There was a lot of stuff floating around. But and then just did the Irvine Improv with Mike, and we sold out 4 shows, and it would have been actually sold out to the max, but you can't. You have about half the amount of people that you want to have, but in a real world. But this world, it was just fine, and the audiences were amazing, and we're planning a bunch of dates. I mean, I've got looking at my schedule. Some places can't open as quickly as they were going to. Dates have to move. Like Portland was going to open, but then they had to stop indoor because of the numbers of illness. And so they got to do what's safe and legal. So California is opening up some places, and a lot of people are coming to me because I'm not, my stand-up's different because every 7 years I turn into something else anyway, just because I'm an artist, no matter what people want to proclaim me.
I think you're an artist.
Well, you are too. We are. I mean, if you're a comedian and you're writing something down or you're thinking of something and you put it out there, that's not just craft, and that's not just narcissism. It is for some people, but not from what I've seen of you and heard. It's an art. It's a wonderful thing we get to do. Yeah. So it's different. I'm not. Some people will be disappointed I'm not as dirty, because they think I'm all of a sudden going to be so profane because they see crystallized moments on the internet from 15 years ago, or they'll watch one special that I did, on HBO that was like, whoa, Bob, what were you doing? And
do you think I don't know. Praise from audiences members though? Like, since they saw that, they're like, okay, he was dirty in that one special, he'll be dirty. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. Every special I've done, and I got Grammy nominated for one of them called That's What I'm Talking About. And it was funny when I was doing my last special, 0 to 60. I said, after you do a couple shows and record them, and then you cut the stuff together sometimes usually you do use something from another show when you're making a special. And I said to the producer backstage before I went on before the first show, I said, I'm going to be cleaner tonight. I'm not as blue. And I got off stage. He went, that was clean. So that one still had more of an R rating to it. I'm feeling different, The pandemic has changed all of us, and it's changed the audience, and it's changed us. And some people are yelling stuff out, tell the aristocrats. It's like, no, that was never. If you watch the movie, George Carlin says, don't tell this. Right. I did it one time at a college, which was received well because it was a magical night. It was just a weird night. And it's not something that is anywhere near what our culture should be hearing right now. And I think I'm finally at this place where throughout my show, whatever the show is, people go, is your same act? When people say that to me, it's like, what are you, a juggler? Same act. Yeah, I do a unicycle, and I don't know, I fart out of my ear. It's a lot of new stuff to talk about. I mean, and and I'm telling more stories. I don't want to analyze myself, but it's new stuff, and I do some old familiar things. Music wise, I'll do a song or two that people want to sing along because they know it from specials and stuff. That's the audience stuff, especially if you have some music that you do, comedy music. But it's a lot of changes. It's a different. I'll be very excited to put this into special, do a special out of it. But in the meantime, I'm just in the moment loving stand-up.
You're also doing a podcast too. You got the podcast bug, and I listened to a couple interviews, and I thought it was great.
Thank you. I've done, I think 90 shows I've done.
Yeah,
it's a year.
Last year, right?
Yeah. I started. I closed the deal to do it before Corona pandemic, before any of it, before we knew what it was, even though it existed anyway. There was a form of it anyway. I know that for a fact because my guest coming up is Dr. John LaPook, CBS chief medical correspondent, and over a 2-hour podcast, I all the questions that just normal human beings, no matter what you believe, if you want to hear some truth, if you're capable of some truth, which I think most people are. I think most people are. And people that may not, people that are hesitant to taking the vaccine, things like that. It's just plain English from an incredibly intelligent man who's a real doctor, 67 years old, still has a practice. He's on CBS This Morning, 60 Minutes, the CBS Evening News. He is the guy that will call up everybody at the NIH, CDC, and so, Fauci just told me this, and names that sometimes some of the doctors turn people off when they hear the names. It was just a really interesting. What I love about doing a podcast is I was kind of born to do it. It took me a while to really get the idea of it.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for 6 years, but I only do like 10, 15 episodes a season because I only know so many people. You know what I mean? So
but you could do as many as you want. I mean, you could have.
But like I get a lot of no's before I get yeses. I think that's just the business. But I think after so many no's, it's like, all right, I'll take a break for 6 months or something.
But you could have anybody on. I mean, look at how Tom Green started back in the day. You just have his buddy on. They would just sit and talk. I mean, you're really good at it, and it is interesting what happens when you do 6 years of something.
Yeah. You get the vibe of it. Yeah. The question I had about your podcast is, who's someone that you would want to interview that you don't know that you think would be really cool to interview?
It's interesting that I don't know because I name drop a lot.
Yeah.
Someone that I don't know. It's interesting because they have to speak English, right? Like, Putin would be a great get, I think I'd be great with him. I think he probably loves dick jokes. I don't know how to even say dick in Russian. I'll call Yakov Smirnov. Yakov will tell me how he says it. It'd be interesting to, I love musical people, those are the people that a lot of people have been able to be in the presence of. I probably would enjoy talking to Paul McCartney or actually would like to talk to Eminem, but I have friends that have access. But I mean, there's different people that that are so legendary and important. It's hard. I probably would have like 10 people that would come to mind.
Yeah.
You really caught me off guard with your podcasting expertise.
Was that a good question? Because
a great question. I'm stumped.
Questions.
Well, I could talk to Springsteen forever,
Oh yeah.
There's certain directors that I could talk to forever that I would love to talk to. Scorsese or I could talk to Coppola about Godfather 1 and then go into 2 and then I had Joe Mantegna, who was Joey Zaza from Godfather 3. So I got to get a little bit of Godfather 3 insight. I'm just thinking of people that I just look up to in the world. There's writers and there's, I guess Eckhart Tolle I'd like to talk to because probably answer all my questions, but they're in his books. So, and people that have had hardship, I always find really appealing that have gone through a hard time.
Yeah.
I would love to have Letterman. I asked, you've got to have a top 10 something to have Letterman come near you.
Right.
I was a guest on his show. He was very gracious to me many times. And I knew him when I started doing stand-up. He was one of the first MCs at the Comedy Store that brought me on stage because I'm 120. But he is somebody I would love to have a conversation with to catch up. But someone I catch up on 40 years. But someone
It's a good choice though.
I love him. Who else would I want to talk to? You know, a lot of people that aren't alive, I'd like
Yeah.
to talk to. That's some of my favorite people. Um, Trying to think, after this year, I mean, just as I would love to work with or be lucky enough to work with David Fincher, certain people that I just look up to their work.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of writers. You've opened up quite I mean, you open up a whole can of, oh, my headset fell out. Like to talk to someone that can put permanent earbuds in. They always fall out. What audio are you using? You just going off the computer?
Yeah. And then I edit it on a Wiz. It's a podcast app. It's called Wizards or something. So
Right.
because I used to go to a studio, but then the pandemic happened.
Oh, the pandemic. Yeah, that's an interesting one, right?
But the reason why I asked that question, because I was trying to see if you said someone I know, so maybe I could return the favor for it.
Oh God. Maybe it is somebody you know.
The only musician I know is Paul Williams.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
I could get him to do it for you.
I met him once. He was quite charming.
I interviewed him. He was awesome.
And he's funny and he's smart.
Yeah. He saw me do stand-up at Irvine, actually, because that's my home club because I live right here.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, how come you didn't come to the show?
To be honest, I'm broke.
I would have, but that's why I would have got you in it.
Oh, no.
You wouldn't have paid for nothing. You could have had all the nachos and booze.
No, I'll definitely, I'll send you Paul's info. He'll do it. He's a friend of mine, so it'll be cool. I want to respect your time, so I have a lot of questions.
Don't worry about my time. Let's see what time it is. I don't even know what I have. I have stuff I got to do, but I laid time aside for you because I want you to. But thank you
awesome.
for being so conscious of my time.
We're at 2:20, so.
Oh, I could talk a lot longer than that.
All right, cool.
How do you pronounce your first name?
Keith, K-I.
Oh, I don't know why it says. How do you pronounce your last name?
Reza.
That's what I wanted to know because it's so funny. It doesn't say Keith. It says Reza Riffs.
That's the name of the podcast.
There you go. See,
yeah.
I copy and paste, and then I don't know what the hell's going on, Keith. It's so hard to be me.
I call it Reza Riffs, but it's spelled wrongly. It's not spelled R-I-F-F-S. It's spelled R-I-F-T-S, which is like a river rift. And like part of my humor is like wordplay type humor, so that's why I thought it would be funny at the time.
It is funny because it's almost past tense of riffing. It's almost like you riffed or you riffs.
Yeah.
But that's bad English. But yeah, wordplay is like, people give wordplay a bad name and they're not smart.
Yeah.
But again, it's depends what language you're speaking in. But English wordplay is where puns come from, and it's where Groucho came from. And people hate dad jokes, but that's because they're not trying to think of anything to say that's funny. They just want to be a critic. So I've always tried to combine a dad joke with something dirty, and for no reason except everybody told me not to say that when I was 10.
Right.
So that's kind of where that even came from. And then it wasn't like, hey, I was a dad on TV on family show, so I'll show you. That's not where it came from. It just came from what I found funny. But unfortunately, I had a very sick sense of humor because the world is so shitty for so many people.
Yeah.
That's where I get even darker with my humor. And I think that's what happened over the past 30 years as I became a pro as a comedian performer, and then went through different incarnations of what my voice was, along with a lot of people that I kind of paralleled with how we evolved from. I talked about this recently, but I listened to Sarah Silverman on our podcast was talking about there's a lot of stuff that I did, she said, years ago that I would never do now.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. And yeah, we are in a mind yourself more, be more considerate, think of who you're affecting when you're saying things nonchalantly and gallantly, like you could care less. I care too much, which is kind of why I would do horrific jokes.
I think it's all about the time too, like the time structures. Like, for example, like there's some movies in the 90s and the early 2000s that could never be made today by the humor.
$1,000,000,000%. I mean,
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of talking to Carl Reiner about Making of the Jerk, Steve Martin's first movie.
Yeah.
And subject matter in it could not be done today, is what Carl was saying. And to me, it was the least racist. It was a anti-racist message in that time frame, done at that time. And Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks has said he could not make that today, which he could not. And because it's, it would come off that way to people when the intention was anti-racist.
Right.
And then people find themselves going, God, I wish I hadn't have done that back then, across the board with a lot of things. But I can say that about a lot of different things anyway. And people, when I have the honesty and openness to go, boy, or I'm in an interview and I go, boy, that was a wrong thing that I did, or I wish I hadn't done that, or that was inappropriate. Inappropriate didn't mean what it means now. Inappropriate now means you're saying you're guilty of something. Talking about something and acting on something are two different things, but words matter, as part facetious, but also it's the truth.
Yeah.
So I've had to come to Jesus with a lot of things of be considerate of people's stuff. And yeah, I would love to get a dry erase board with some of the stuff I've done. Does it hold up today? For some people. But I don't like if people take it the wrong way. And instead of me commenting on something by bringing it out like I used to, they would take it as misogynistic or cruel when it was meant to be the opposite. But that's, how can you, if you have to explain it, it ain't working. It doesn't hold up. So I'm really happy with how stand-up is for me right now, because I'm like getting reborn again. It really is like that when I'm coming out and the audience is there, and you know what you get from an audience. It's a two-way street,
Yeah. I mean, I've only done 3 shows this year.
Right.
That's
a lot more than most people.
I don't have the career of doing it like every single week like I did, but like I'm hoping, I think guys like me, it'll be harder to get back into it because, I'm not a headliner, I'm a feature MC. So I think like it'll be harder to get those spots, and, because headliners, they got to get in, you know what I mean? So I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I think you just need to, you know what you got to do? A friend of mine says the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you just have to be a little pushy and just say, can I be on that show? Can I host that show? Can I open that show? Call the club, and just say, I want to be part of that. And
next time you're in Irvine, I'll write you.
Say, hell yeah.
Can I answer?
I usually go Mike and me, and I usually don't have a host, but I'd make an exception in your case. I would have you, but you wouldn't do that. You do like 5 and then you'd in between. Yeah, that'd be easy. It'd be my pleasure to do that. And you've got it on recording, so it's real.
I love you.
We have evidence.
We're going to be best friends now.
Well, it's going to be like, what about Bob? You're going to be at my house. It's going to be like, Norm goes, hey, I got this great guy. And it's a practical joke. Norm plays on people where he hooks a stalker up with all of his friends he wants to get even with.
If we're being honest, that's probably how I became so tight with Norm, because I have Asperger's, and it's a social disorder. So like, I think
I know what it is. Like the first time I heard it, I was horrific as my old style of comedy and did a joke about it. And you probably have done the joke. Have you done the joke? If not, I wish you would, because I can't do it.
What's the joke?
You don't want a restaurant that's called that, because those burgers are not good.
Yeah.
They don't taste good, because let me scratch my nose for good luck. I mean, you can say that. I can't, but I did. But it's laughing at disease sure ain't funny. But that's why so many comedians would do a cancer joke 15, 20 years ago. They would do it because they were affected by it. If you have the disease, it's an easier thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I would say 90% of my comedy is talking about it.
Oh,
So,
well, and you never did that version of the breaking down but you do wordplay.
yeah.
Asperger's, I don't know. You should say
I'm
you're a really good cook. You make Asperger's.
I'm basically the John Cusack of stand-up comedy. I just say anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because that's the name of his movie.
Yeah.
So. I thought you were going to say you're incredibly radical, because I follow him just to see how rebellious he's going to get that day. How mad at the system.
But back to stalking, that's probably how I became friends with Norm, because I think for 3 years, I was more stalkery, and then like we started to hang out and stuff, and then he started to get me and stuff, and then his friendship's the best friendship I have.
That's sweet. Yeah. And Norm's a sincere guy. That's what people don't know. I mean, you know it.
Yeah.
But he's got a huge heart, and it's actually oversized. It's a foot big in diameter.
He wanted me to ask you about his roast.
Yeah, my roast.
Yeah.
His roast of me was before I'll talk about it, but before that, I'll talk about it first. Okay, I got roasted on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I watched it the other night.
Did you laugh? Does it hold up?
I did, and I actually, like, part of Asperger's, like, I have a great imagination, so while I was watching it, I was writing roast jokes in my head, thinking, okay, I'll roast Saget 15 years later.
Right. And that's something I hate roasting. I hate being roasted. I hated every minute of it. What Gen Z did is they watched it. Some asshole put something out on YouTube saying that the jokes are real, and they don't understand what a roast is. So nobody gets what a roast is. Right. You don't usually do jokes about something if it's real, if it's against the law, and if it's something you'd be in prison for, rightfully and justifiably. So it's a very sad world we're in, where people will hear a roast and think that's the news.
Yeah.
So what happened was Norm was smart and called me and said, Saget, I don't want to make fun of you. You're my friend. Bad impression. But he said, you're my friend. I'm not to do it. I said, well, don't make fun of me. Just curse a couple times and say I'm a piece of shit, and just do what they do at roast. That's what you do. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm going to read from an old 40s joke book. And then that's what he did. And the jokes were not really hitting, because the thing was, it's brilliant what he did, because Norm is brilliant.
Genius, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one Norm MacDonald. And so he probably did about 20 minutes in total, and I think it's like 12 minutes or 8. I don't know what it is in the final roast, but I think it's uncut somewhere on the World Wide Web, which is the destruction of civilization. But he was so funny because of who Norm is, and throughout the whole roast, he sat there and read the sports section. Yeah, that's what he did while everybody else talked, because he's, what did he need to be around a roast for? I'm going to see what horses are winning, and so what teams. So he started to do jokes. You got a face like a flower, cauliflower. And then when he goes, I'm saying you got a fucking dog face, okay? When he cursed, because I had suggested he did, I told him, please just curse. If it doesn't go well, please curse. And Norm and I have a special relationship, because there's somebody that on Twitter that said Bob Saget never does a podcast where he doesn't mention that he directed Dirty Work. So that's,
But that's one of your highlights, though.
Well, but I am known by myself and others as too much of a name dropper, and it's a bad thing to do. But I don't know. It's part of I think it's part of my wanting to be accepted neuroses. Like you told me, hey, I got Paul Williams in my pocket, and you can have him. He's little. He can be in your pocket. But with Norm, He, he did finally curse, and that's when some of the crazier laughs happened. And then he got real sincere. So it was interesting because the audience didn't know where he was going. And that's what I love about him so much.
Yeah.
And I was not comfortable being at the roast. Greg Giraldo, who shouldn't be dead, he was so brilliant and so wonderful. And
he was a great comic too. Yeah.
Great comic, and an amazing roaster, right? So the way it went down for real is I'm sitting there, and Joel Gallon, the producer, I'm watching Greg, and he says, I look like the Vlasic pickle stork with my pointy beaky nose and my granny glasses. And then they cut to me, and I'm like horrified. I was horrified because I'm going, yeah, I do look like that. I'm just hating myself. Right. And so the first AD comes over, and he's wearing a headset, and I know him because he used to work on America's Funniest Home Videos, and he yells for the whole audience to hear. Joel says, try to look like you're enjoying yourself. And so everybody heard that. And I went like, people are listening, man. People heard that. So then I do this. I'm like, and I'm smiling. And then I get criticized for laughing at jokes that are completely offensive and horrific.
Right.
So, no one knows what anything is. People talk out of their asses. They're just the critic people, because everybody with 2 followers has the voice of a million now, in their mind.
Oh, yeah.
And they have the right. But I also have the right to block them, because I don't want to see no more negative shit. I already have my own. I know what my problems are. So that was a roast that's running now. I guess it's whatever streaming service is running it. They started running all the roasts, but I caught a bit of shit from that, from people that don't know what a roast is, and don't know who I am, and don't know what kind of person I am. And, it's whatever people do, people, they're disappointing sometimes what the IQ level is, but,
well, if it makes you feel any better, I thought it was a great roast because I thought everyone on it was funny. And I think that's the most important thing about comedy, is being funny. So if people were offended to it, then, that's on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, correct. But it also does, that roast of mine in particular, because of some of the things that were said that I didn't want said.
Yeah.
I can't even talk about that. I can't talk about it because I didn't want things said about people that I care about. So those are my friends.
Yeah.
It was John Stamos, like my brother. I mean, everybody that performed at that roast, Greg, I had just gotten to know, and we were going to start hanging out, and then we lost him. But he and the others, Brian Posehn, I didn't really know that well, but I adore him. But everybody else I knew, and Jeff Garland and I had known each other, but we've become very close since that roast. But everybody else, Lovitz and Gilbert, who really deified me in the roast.
Did you see he's trending right now because I guess someone booked him on Cameo to say the Mortal Kombat theme song.
Right.
So he says it, and they put his cameo in the music video, and he's like, Mortal Kombat. So he's singing the entire song. I thought it was.
Oh, that's good. So he didn't do anything wrong.
No, but whoever booked him on Cameo was a genius to putting it. I don't know if that's even legal to do.
No, it's not. I don't think he realized that if you do that, you can actually say, I'm sorry, I can't do this. You have to go through my agent.
It was still funny though.
Right. Well, I noticed people playing video games are me. They use me as an avatar, and then I'll see that, and I go, well, are they criticizing me? What is this? And I realize, no, I'm a character, and then I'm winning, I'm losing. You killed him, and then of course every year it comes out that you're dead. Oh, it's trending, you're dead. And yeah, it's trending. A lot of people are dead, but I was on that show. I was on that TV show last night, so I don't think I'm dead. And if anybody has the Wi-Fi or a phone, they could Google my name and just hit news, and you'll find out that I did something yesterday. I just did a movie. He's not dead.
Are
But
you
nobody
curious to know what your
Googles.
moves are though in the video games, like your special hidden powers and
I
stuff?
could not give a shit. But do you play?
No, I was just thinking that'd be cool, like a Saget kick or something. I don't.
I'm sure it's good. I can do a kick. When I was back years ago, I had a trainer, and all I did was trying to be a kickboxer, and all I did was basically kick a bag and kick his hands with pads on them. I didn't fight anybody. I wasn't in a ring.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything. So, but I got a strong kick. At that time, I had a trainer that was so stupid that he found out with my chicken legs, I could lift 600 pounds. I could bench 600 with my legs. So I would lay back on the thing and then push the weight up. And it was 600 pounds. And I do 6 reps and he go, look what he did. And then, 5 years later, my knees started to blow out. And then people go, well, that's because your trainer did that, because you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, you're supposed to start low, right?
And stay low unless you've got muscular legs like a sumo wrestler, but I never did. I had chicken legs, so I had surgeries on both knees and bone shards shot off. But it doesn't stop me from being able to do stuff. I'm into Pilates now because that's like, you lay on a flat bed and it's like literally like you're in traction. It's fun.
They also have like the bike at home that you connect to your iPad. What's that called?
Right. The Peloton.
Yeah, that. So,
what do you do? Do you take walks? Do you go out?
Well, I do walk my dog who's sleeping right now. But
what kind of dog you got?
I have a beagle.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't know one person with a beagle.
Yeah.
You got Snoopy.
His name's Boomer. So
a baby boomer kind of thing?
Yeah, we got him 2 years ago, and we got him because my other beagle just died, and we got him, I think, just to because the pain was just so bad, and we needed another dog, so we got Boomer. And it's weird how the love for Gano, who's my first dog, named after the Violent Femmes, and we still love him, but Boomer's just really brought the joy back into our heart. You know what I mean?
That is so important. I had a King Charles Spaniel named Alan, and he died of cancer after 9 years. I tried to keep him alive for a year with chemo and radiation. I could have bought a car. It was so expensive to get him chemo and radiation. I should have just bought a car. But I feel now for my daughters, I have 3 daughters, that I should have replaced him and done what you did. How long of time passage from your last dog to Boomer?
To be honest, it was maybe 2 weeks.
That is so smart. That's like you break up with somebody and you got the other person on speed dial, the new person. It sounds artificial in a way to deal with grief, but I think it's wonderful. Something, because dogs, cats, whatever brings you love, it's their love,
And I want to try and get him to use as an anxiety dog for me, but he has way more anxiety than me, so I can't do it.
This is the material. I can feel it. So is there a way that you could have the support human tags and he could ride in first and he boards first and then you go with him because he needs you?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Through Adam's Eyes, which is a film you made at Temple, and you won. I've never, I don't know who's seen it, but I'm very curious about that because I love Temple and I love film. How is that experience?
How do you love Temple University?
Eddie Jones went there, and he was my favorite basketball player.
Holy crap. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Bill Cosby, and he's my favorite role model. It's called sarcasm and horribleness, people. They're going to take that and they hear that and then they think that's what I think because they just are dumb because that's saying he's not the best role model. He actually got a doctorate and only went for 2 years. He didn't graduate. And I got a Bachelor of Arts and I I made a film, an 11-minute film about my nephew who had his face reconstructed. And that's what Through Adam's Eyes was. It was an 11-minute black and white film. My nephew Adam was 7 when he had surgeries on his ears, on his face. He didn't have enough bone structure. His bones were pulled down. So they took ribs out of his chest. They literally took his face off. They took it off from the top and rebuilt the face. It was a new technique. There was a doctor in France, Paul Tessier. I know you want to know all this. And he
I do, actually.
He pioneered it. And then Linton Whitaker at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia is who did the surgery. And he's in the movie. And I was a film student. And then through different happenstance and people liking the film, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences they have the Student Academy Awards every year. And I won a merit award for documentary. And it had been an award that some wonderful people had previously won. John Lasseter, of course, Pixar founder, he won one the year before me. And Spike Lee had won one. And Trey Parker had won one. And so I got to meet a lot of people when I was 21 years old. And then I'm very proud of that movie. It got seen in Philly. It got seen, I think, a little bit more because Temple University does show it. It's, it's not the best quality. It's 16 millimeter and sound, of course. But it's a thing that I'm proud of because my nephew narrated it. It's his film. I mean, all I did was have him I interviewed him and used what he said as the narration for it. And that's why it's Through Adam's Eyes and how he went. It's very casual, he just says, I went, like you said to me, I have Asperger's. My nephew's like, I didn't have enough, bones in my face. And so they took my face off and they had to put bones in, and just how a person that's honest talks. And kids talk pretty honest.
Yeah.
And so that's why there was always that show. Kids say the darndest things. No, adults say the damnedest things because they just say the truth usually. Yeah. Unless they've learned how to be mean already, which you got to be taught to hate other people. So
I believe in that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And to criticize other people and to attack them and to bully, that's taught. And it's because you got treated that way, or you just became not as nice a person. So, I wasn't raised that way. It was just so weird being a comedian because, I assume you overcome quite a bit with having Asperger's and being a comedian.
Yeah.
How did you go through that? I know people that are listening know about it because it's your podcast. How do you overcome it? How did you overcome it?
Well, it's kind of a sad story, and so I got picked on a lot.
I would like a sad story because I love to laugh.
Well, I got picked on a lot.
You're trying to tell me something sincere, and I'm being a complete douche.
No. I couldn't even tell. I have Asperger's. So
I think you could tell a lot, by the way.
I was trying to make you smile.
You did.
So I got picked on a lot in school because I was very nonverbal. And when I did talk, I would talk in a way that is like people would make fun of you for talking, like a squeaky voice or something, And
they would try to replicate your voice.
Yeah, they would make jokes and make fun, and they would call me retard and all that stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and so I remember how I started comedy. I remember watching the Young Comedian specials with my dad and stuff, and America's Home Videos. Actually, I felt was even though it wasn't a stand-up show, I felt it was more stand-up than Full House because you were telling jokes.
Right. I was attempting to tell jokes.
Yeah. So I would like that. Those were the shows that I liked, you know what I mean? And so I walked by a mom and pop coffee shop house that said $20 for open mic best joke wins $20, and I signed up because I thought if all these people were making fun of me, maybe I'm funny. I don't know. And I won the $20, and $20 for like a 14-year-old kid is like $100.
That's amazing.
You know? So then I just started doing comedy.
At 14? You started at 14?
That was my first time. Yeah. I didn't like continue doing it until college and stuff when I got better at talking and stuff.
I see. Where'd you go to college?
I went to Golden West and then Orange Coast College,
Sure.
which is in Huntington Beach and Costa Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I started doing comedy, and I just loved making people laugh. I thought like that brought a lot of joy to me. And then like the longer I did comedy, the more I could talk and get, vocalize and stuff. And I went to a lot of speech therapy and stuff.
Right.
So I feel like I look at myself, because now I'm 33, like I want to be like a household name, and I just like, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I still want to do comedy. That's why
you have to assume that it's happening, and that it's really the hardest thing to do and to learn. And I've gone through it my whole career. You really have to just do it, because you can definitely do it. I mean, I'm just talking to you right now, and I already sense that you're incredibly, it's going to sound really annoying, incredibly likable and honest. And my God, I mean, if so, you come out and you talk about Asperger's. Once you get past all of that, because that's the big piece of information that you're dropping on them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you got all the great jokes about it, as upsetting as it would be, but you get to get that message out, which speaks for all the people that have it. And then it also, it brings people in, because nobody gets out of this life without something, and they can come into it with a big burden of shit and somehow get through it. But the fact that you get up and talk about it, my God, then you'll just broaden it. You'll broaden it into just other stuff, which I'm sure you do anyway. You write stuff down. How do you go about it, coming up with stuff?
Well, yeah, like the roast that I was watching last night, I actually wrote the jokes on the card. I wanted to tell them to you, but but
it'll probably offend people all over again.
but like I will say one thing, like that's why like my friendship with Norm is so, like, I cherish it a lot, because without him, I would not have the opportunity to do stand up, I feel, because he took me on the road. He's given me some spots, and he's helped me with my comedy, and I'm influenced by him too, so it's like touring with your mentor and your hero. I feel it's the best dream come true.
That is like the best thing I've heard all day.
Yeah. So
that's really great. He's one of my favorite people, and he's one of the funniest people. So I'm really happy that you had this experience with him. Now you're gonna, he would tell
he's
you. He's
probably gonna listen to this, because I want it to be a good interview, because I don't want to he's gonna be like, I'm never getting you another interview again. I don't know.
So you want to talk bad about him? I can't think of one damn thing to say bad about him, because he and I have an interconnectedness. I don't know what it is. I'll never know. But when he was 17, at least that's how the stories goes, I was in Ottawa at 21 or 22 years old playing in a club, and he was in the audience. He says that I'm the first comedian he ever saw.
Norm was my first comedian I ever saw too. So
where did you see him?
Irvine Improv.
Right.
I saw him in September 2008, and it was right after the roast actually got aired. And my family's pretty poor, and I remember they got me tickets to go see him for my birthday, which is in July, but they were on sale. So that's how I met him.
That's wonderful. That's great for your family. So you have a supportive family, right?
Yeah. So they go to the shows and stuff, and
that's wonderful, man. I had that with my parents. They were proud of me. We didn't have any money. I lived with my parents all through college. I was a deli clerk in a supermarket.
I work at Ralph's.
Good.
So
What do you do there?
I was a cashier, but then like my no filterness, I guess, got me a lot of complaints. So they moved me into the milk box. So now I throw milk, which is art in a way because like you have to make it beautiful.
You're saying you put it in the cages behind the milk?
Yeah, like you take the milk out of the box and you put it on the shelf, and
Right.
yeah.
I have something similar to that. I was a wet nurse for a while because I lactate. So I was breastfeeding. I would fill bottles with my breast milk. That'll be your soundbite that you show when you want people to hear this. Yeah, I cleaned fish all through college. So I'd smell like 100 pounds of carp, and bottom feeders and croakers and porgies and all these weird things. And I was a deli clerk, and I bought film stock, and I took a girlfriend out to dinner, and that's what I did. I lived at home, and then when I got out of college, I moved to LA from Philadelphia. So we didn't have any money. My parents barely could afford to send me to college, and I lived at home. But my dad was my parents were good people and supported me. And like you won that contest. I won a radio contest when I was 17 in Philly with a radio station, WMMR. And I sang a song about bondage. I was 17 years old singing a song about bondage. And then they want to know what happened to the dad on Full House. It's like his childhood is what happened to him. I found out about weirdo people and joked about it. All you got to do is do it. That's all you got to do. And find places where you can go up. Besides, I know because you're in the OC, there probably aren't a lot of open mic type places.
Yeah.
Whereas in LA, there's a lot of open mic type that will be, they're now, most of them have been closed. So this year you didn't miss much.
Well, I also co-book a comedy club in Huntington Beach. It only fits like 150 people.
That's not only, that's a lot of people. I mean, there's people going out, working out in front of 25 or 50 at laundromats that are like the place to go to,
I've done a couple laundromat shows.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about directing too, because you directed Dirty Work, obviously, but you also directed Benjamin. How is it as an artist? How is it like directing yourself while you're also acting? Like,
in that particular project, and you love everything you direct because it's like no matter what, it's one of your kids, even if it doesn't turn out quite great. I had I have every note from my doctor on that one. I wish I'd directed it and not been Ed in the movie, or been Ed and had a director and a different budget. And I mean, we did it for no money, and we did it in 15 days, and it's hard. And everybody was so great. The cast was so giving and wonderful. So I have no regrets. I just know I would have done a couple things different. Which maybe would have waited. Maybe I would have waited and tried to get it till I had more money budgeted, so we could have shot it more, and a few more days would have really helped us. But all in all, the cast is so good. It's Rob Corddry and Kevin Pollak and Mary Lynn Ricecub.
I love Mary Lynn.
I just did a movie with her in the Cayman Islands. Right now it's called Blue Iguana, but I think it's going to be called Killing Daniel. And we just shot it during COVID. And there's no COVID in the Cayman Islands because they put you in jail if you leave quarantine. So there's no cases of it. There's 75,000 people and there is zero COVID. And they followed protocols. The crew wore masks, even though it was very hard. It was 100 degrees out and we were shooting outside a lot.
Yeah.
And inside without air conditioning. But that was, Mary Lynn and she was just on my podcast. She's so wonderful and so funny. And she's got a big Chris Pratt movie coming out in July on Amazon. Big, like a $200 million movie.
She followed me on Twitter a couple months ago. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
You're happening now. This is all happening. This is all, honestly, look, I'm telling you, just do it. I hate to, I don't know where Nike got that slogan, but
From you, obviously, Bob.
thank you for knowing that I came up with most of the world's, just be. I came up with that.
I did my research. I studied hard.
You did. You are a young Skywalker, but you are going to follow. And I see that you're drinking a diet soda. Those are the best things we can drink.
Diet Pepsi, yeah.
They go right into it's good. I think they're good in case like you eat a nail or something, because you could put a nail in Diet Pepsi and it dissolves it. So nothing wrong. Yeah. So I think it's good. And if there's a nail in your stomach, it'll eat it.
Yeah. So it'll dissolve my heart too.
I would recommend, if you're worried, to get your heart we need to take care of. We need you to live a long life is what we need.
At least till next year, so I could open for you at Irvine.
More than next year. I mean, I'm telling you, you're going to, and I can't wait to have you open the night. I'm not kidding.
Oh, that would be awesome.
But you might be on the road. You don't know what's going to happen. Do you want to go on the road? Do you want to do that?
More than anything, yeah. Like, I've done the road a couple times with Norm, and I think I've only done Vegas and Arizona with him. But like, I'd like to go on the road.
Well, the way to do it is to build a longer act and work out different components of it. So you get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes. If you have your comedy club, if I were you, I would build a half hour as soon as you can, and then I'll build 45. And then
I already have an hour special that I did. So
what's the name of it?
It's called Keith Reza Make It Happen. I could send it to you if you want.
Well, I'm going to find it. Is it findable? I'm going on your thing. I'm going to follow you after this.
Oh, awesome. It's on YouTube.
Okay. I'm going to watch it because
awesome.
Because that's all it is make a fucking name for yourself, Just do it.
That's why I called it Make It Happen.
Right.
So
well, that is
like,
original.
This is weird. We're having this conversation of making it happen, yet I have a special.
That's a great name, by the way. And it's also where we're kind of at. Anybody that's trying to help anybody out of this time we're going through, that is pretty shitty, that we've all lived through, that we're still living through as things open up. And it doesn't mean it's going to go away, but people, whatever, all this people, I had the audience and I said, how many of you have had the vaccine? And like one audience was half and half, another audience was like 15% of the audience raised their hand. One guy couldn't raise his hand because he just had it that day. But it's interesting because people may not want to get it. And that has to do with whether we can do it. Because if people get sick again, and the numbers go up, they're going to close it down again. So we don't want that to happen. So
no, definitely not.
And the vaccine works. I just talked to Dr. John LaPook for 2 hours and 10 minutes on my podcast. So
I'm vaccinated. I got the not the Johnson & one, the other one.
Moderna?
No, Pfizer.
Pfizer's good. They make Viagra. So you might have had an erection the whole time.
I have 2 more quick questions. I do really want to respect your time. About Dirty Daddy. What was it like writing a book about yourself during, because like a lot of comedians who write books, they're either great or they just fall flat. And I thought yours was just great, kind of like Artie Lang's,
Thanks, man. Thank you. Well, I went like, I don't think it's time to write a memoir, but it was one. And it was also free associative. When I wrote it, you do a book talk, you go on a book tour. And so I went and did the 92nd Street Y in New York, and John Oliver moderated it. And it was 1 week before Last Week Tonight came out on HBO. Oh. So I'd been a fan of his work. I adored him. I just thought he was great. And he talks about animals a lot, and talks about sexual things with animals. When he's not doing politics, he weaves into animals, a lot of us do. Norm has some real funny animal stuff as well. Norm can pretty much talk about anything and make it funny. or serious too. He's interesting that way.
Has he ever told you his joke about his dad being dead and he's at his coffin?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I've seen him do it. So I want a sandwich. I don't know. I got this dead guy. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I am drawn to, because, and that's what Dirty Daddy was about. Yes, I'd like to change the title today. Yes, there's a couple things in it I would change, but that's true of a lot of people's work, you know. But you know, and some of it is so funny. Some stuff that's bit me in the ass over the years is because I wrote it in the book. It's like I put things in the book and then say in the book, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry, that was in poor taste. But they don't put that part. They just put the part where I say I did this, because people want to hear stuff. So instead of talking about other people and saying what they did wrong, which is what a lot of people do, they write books and they bash other people. I bashed myself and said I shouldn't have done this and that. And instead of people going, wow, what, that's honest. You know, he's admitting that he's done some inappropriate, bad taste humor, you know, bad taste humor, inappropriate in terms of, yeah, I shouldn't have told anybody. I shouldn't have done it. Whatever. It's not the things that I've done are not things that affect other human beings. They affect other human beings when other people put it in social media. That's how they affect other human beings. But it doesn't. I've never been anyone that wanted to hurt anybody. I wanted to be a doctor, but I was too busy being a deli clerk and being stupid, so I couldn't.
Well, I'm so glad you weren't a doctor, because I think you're a great comedian. And
you're nice.
You know, so.
And I would have been a murderer as a doctor, I think.
Like the guy from Saw or whatever.
Not that kind of murder. I just think I would have been is there malpractice in Saw?
Yeah, Dr. Gordon, he like puts I don't know if you watch the movies, but
I can't watch those because I'm too affected by them.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Gordon, who was the doctor, he ends up in the long time being the bad guy the entire time. It was like 7 movie twists. I don't know. I liked it only because like I like movies.
Right.
But speaking of movies, I wanted to ask you, because whenever I ask Norm, he kind of dodges around this question. So I just wanted a straight answer from you. Is Dirty Work 2 coming?
I can't say, but I can say that there are talks.
Awesome.
And there's a little more than talks, but we're not there yet. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I'm calling Norm on many levels to tell him how great you are and to thank him for hooking me up with you and to talk about the thing that we can't talk about.
Awesome. Well, I have like a great idea. So for Dirty Work 2, if you ever want to like throw me in as a writer or a co-writer.
That could be something, you know, because even though there might be a script right to the right of me, there's no reason why we can't add to the fun.
There goes my pitch.
Don't tell me on here. Do you want to tell me on here what your pitch is?
Yeah, sure.
I am.
So Sam's sister, Sam is already laying for the folks at home.
Right.
Sam's sister has breast cancer, and he calls on Mitch to save her.
I love it.
Because she needs a new breast, you know.
Right.
So she calls Mitch to get Dirty Work back. So they get back together to make enough money for her new breast, but they realize that Travis Cole has set up another Dirty Work company, so they're competing with Travis Cole.
That's an interesting premise, and it's to get her a breast, so that you bring all the women viewers with that one.
Yeah,
that's called sarcasm, everybody. I don't know. I think breast cancer, it might be.
Maybe it's a little too, but like that was just a.
Well, it's coming from a writer that has Asperger's. So you're talking, but you're talking about putting a disease out there and yet trying to make light of something that is incredibly serious. I have many friends that have had I have a friend right now who has breast cancer and is getting treated. So that's the question. Is that the right premise? But the idea is someone in the family, Mitch's family, needs something else, like Jack Warden needed a heart.
Yeah. My sister's coming home real fast, so I don't, this might be a good time to wrap things up because
That's fine by me. Well, tell her Danny Tanner says hi. How old's your sister?
She's 20. Stephanie, how old are you? 24, 25? She's 27.
Well, tell her I just respectfully said hello. And
Bob
I really
Saget
enjoyed
says
it.
hello.
Hey, how are you?
That's,
Nice to see you. You too. Thanks.
That's my sister, Stephanie. So,
That's
Bob, where can
cool.
the folks follow you on Twitter or social media?
Just at my name. And it's BOBSAGET. And it's SAGET. I've had a rough childhood with my name. So, people, I've been bullied a lot. Isn't that weird? I still get bullied.
Yeah.
Almost 65 years old, and they freaking bully me. I don't get it.
But now you're a comedian, so you take all those life experiences and you punch them back.
I kind of do, but I don't want to punch them back because they're
not like giving them a bloody nose, giving them a laugh attack.
A laugh attack. The best revenge is entertaining somebody.
Yeah.
Because then they go like, oh wait, that made me laugh. Okay, I can't hate him. Or all that shit's not true about him. Oh, I'll still hate him.
Well, Bob, it was an honor talking to you, and like I honestly feel we're friends now. So
we are friends. We know each other, and you will be opening up when I do Irvine, and I'll say don't go over 5, and you'll go, boy, is he an asshole? And then
hey, even if you gave me 3 minutes, time is time. Making
3's not enough. In between, you get a minute and change, but up front, you got to do a set. But just keep doing the set in Huntington. Just do. You got the place. Just do it.
Yeah, come down and do it sometime.
I don't think I'm going to do that, but I'm just being honest with you because I don't like to leave the house that much. I don't even want to go to the Comedy Store when it opens up, but I probably will. But I need to be.
You live right by the store?
No. I'll give you my exact address when we're best friends. Right now we're friends. We're not best friends. But I really appreciate you having me on here, and we'll be seeing each other. And I wish you so much good stuff, man.
And Bob, thank you so much for saying yes. You really cheered me up today, and I appreciate it.
Well, you cheered me up too, by the way. Thank you. And anything I said that could make me look bad, just make it louder when it comes out in the podcast, or cut it out so people will enjoy it.
I thought everything you said was great. I thought it was. See, that's why I like podcasting, because it's not like a late night panel where you only get 8 minutes of trying. It's a real getting to know someone as an artist. And I think, like, honestly, like, I think this is a great episode. And like I said, I feel we're friends. Like, I could say, yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with Bob Saget, like I get to talk to him.
We get to talk. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Have a great day, Bob. And thank you for making me smile.
Oh God, you're killing me, man. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. I'm really happy I did this. Thanks for having me.
Okay. I gotta go tell Norm that it was a good show.
I'm going to tell him first. Go talk to your sister. I'm going to call Norm.
All right. Bye, Bob. Have a great day.
You take care.
Bye.
I'll talk to you.
All right.
Bye.
And that was my interview with Bob Saget, guys. Subscribe, rate, and review. What a great show. And I appreciate it, guys. See you next time.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.